all public meetings via web conferencing and audio conferencing. In compliance with California's statewide stay-at-home order, today's IQC meeting is a video conference meeting with a live webcast. Public comment, however, may be provided during the meeting by dialing the telephone, and you should see a display here shortly on your screen with contact information. But public comment may be provided during the meeting by dialing the telephone number 712 area code 432-0075. Follow the prompt to provide the following access code 651905 hashtag. Callers will be added to a queue. The operator will notify callers when it is their turn to provide public comment. Public comment is limited to 1 minute. The phone number and access code will also be announced again at the start of the public comment for each item. The information you have just heard is also outlined on the September 16, 2020 IQC agenda posted on the IQC website. I will now announce, or rather introduce, our commissioners, CDE staff, and state board liaisons participating in today's meeting. As you know, since we've been through a few of these, when I call your name, please unmute your mic and confirm your attendance, but please make sure to mute yourself afterwards. So I will begin with Vice Chair Munoz.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Andre.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Astorga Almanza.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Chapman.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Costa Hernandez.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Fairchild.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Gotanda.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Jarvis.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Pantai.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Renteria.
Here.
Thank you. Next, Commissioner Rustin.
Here.
Thank you. Next, Commissioner Tonkovich.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Williamson.
Here.
I believe that is, okay. And next, Assemblymember Weber.
Here.
Thank you. Next, Senator Allen.
Here.
Thank you. And our state board liaison, state board member Rucker.
Here.
Thank you. State board member Strauss.
Here.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if she's here today, but I'm going to call her name anyway. State board member Glover Woods, rather.
No, she'll only attend for the ethnic studies.
Okay, thank you. All right. And new to our IQC today is Maya Howard, our student IQC member. Today is Maya's first IQC meeting. Yay, welcome Maya. For her swearing in, I will turn the meeting over to board member Strauss.
So good morning, everyone, and welcome, Maya. This is really important and symbolic and really to our work going forward. Maya is our first student member to the Instructional Quality Commission. She will serve during this entire school year, and we will really welcome her voice. So with that, I'm going to have Maya, if you'll raise your right hand, and you're going to repeat after me, and I will do it in short pieces, okay? So, I state your name.
I, Maya Howard,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
So congratulations, Maya. We welcome you to the Instructional Quality Commission. Would you like to say a few words and let people know a little bit about you?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I am a senior at Miraloma High School in Sacramento. And I just want to say how honored I am to be here. I've been looking forward to this meeting ever since I did the training. And although this is not exactly how I imagined it going, I'm still thrilled to be here and just excited to get started. So thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else, Board Member Strauss, before I continue?
No, thank you. We'll do our reports when the agenda comes. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, welcome, Maya. We will consider what subject matter committees you will be assigned to later on in the meeting. So with that, IQC Executive Director Shanine Coates is present at the California Department of Education. Shanine, please confirm your attendance and state who is present with you.
Thank you. Good morning, including myself, Constantino Silva, Cliff Rudnick, Denise Figueroa, and Susan Sweeney from the Curriculum Frameworks and Instructional Resources Division are present. We are joined by Barbara Murchison, Director of the Educator Excellence and Equity Division. And in addition, participating on the Zoom video conference is Kyle Petty.
Thank you. Next is item B, salute to the flag. Executive Director Coates, would you lead us in salute to the flag of the United States of America, please?
Certainly.
I'm not sure if anyone was able to hear that. I wasn't. So just a sound check. Was anyone else able to hear that? Oh,
We
okay,
did.
so
We can confirm that we saluted the flag. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just want to let you know about technical issues there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So next is item C, an overview of today's agenda. Today's agenda remains unchanged and includes the following. 1, review the draft state literacy plan presented by Barbara Murchison. Next, hear public comment on the draft state literacy plan. Approve the draft state literacy plan for public review and comment period. Also, approve the online survey for the public review and comment period. Finally, just a brief reminder of protocols to help facilitate our virtual meeting today. As much as possible, the subcommittee chair, myself, or anyone else who's leading at the time will try to call on you by looking for the virtual raised hand. As you well know, if we speak at the same time, it's going to be a little confusing since we're not in person. Either way, please don't forget to unmute yourself and then mute your mic once again. Also, all votes will be done by roll call. With that, our next agenda item is 1D, election of executive committee member. And so for that, I will turn the meeting over to Executive Director Coates.
Thank you, Chair Iniguez. The election for a 2020 Executive Committee member shall be a separate election conducted according to Robert's Rules of Order with nominations made from the floor. The election shall be by a majority vote of voting members. No one may be a candidate without being present at the meeting and without one's consent. The Executive Committee consists of 5 members. Current members are Chair Iniguez, Vice Chair Munoz, Commissioner Costa Hernandez, and Commissioner Rustin. For your reference, when commissioner preferences were selected in January, Commissioners Chapman, Fairchild, Renteria, and Williams indicated their interest in joining the Executive Committee. Is there any discussion? Great. I will now begin by taking nominations. Please raise your virtual hand in Zoom, and I will call on you to place your nomination. Chair Iniguez.
Thank you. Who do you pick from? It's like picking from your own children. I nominate Commissioner Fairchild.
Commissioner Iniguez nominates Commissioner Fairchild. Commissioner Williamson?
I would like to nominate Commissioner Chapman, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Williamson nominates Commissioner Chapman. Commissioner Rustin?
Yes, I would like to nominate Commissioner Renteria.
Commissioner Rustin nominates Commissioner Renteria. Commissioner Williamson? Your hand was still up. Is that? Oh, thank you. Do I have all the nominations? Okay. So Denise will conduct a roll call vote. Denise, on the nomination of Commissioner Fairchild, will you please conduct the roll call vote?
Chair Iniguez?
Yes, but to be quite frank, I'm not really sure, and I don't know if I'm out of order here, but I'm not really sure if it's clear to the commission what the ramifications are of voting yay or nay. For example, there are 3 nominees as I understand it. And so to be clear, we are allotted 1 vote only. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So to be clear, because I'm having a little technical issues hearing, what are we voting on right now?
So currently, we have the following nominations on the floor for the executive committee member: Commissioner Fairchild, Commissioner Chapman, and Commissioner Renteria. So as voting members of the IQC, you each have just 1 vote. So you may vote yay on one of those options.
Okay, to be clear. And so right now, what name is up? Who am I voting on?
So
I want to be precise.
So the first name that's up is Commissioner Fairchild.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I vote yes.
Thank you. Vice Chair Munoz?
Yes.
Commissioner Andre?
Yes.
Commissioner Estorga Almanza?
Yes.
Commissioner Chapman?
Yes.
Commissioner Costa Hernandez?
Yes.
Commissioner Fairchild?
Yes.
Commissioner Gotanda?
Yes.
Commissioner Jarvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Pantai?
Yes.
Commissioner Renteria?
Yes.
Commissioner Rustin?
Yes.
Commissioner Tonkovich?
Yes.
Commissioner Williamson?
Yes.
Assemblymember Weber?
Yes.
Senator Allen?
Yes.
Member Maya Howard?
Yes.
So just want to clarify, just for the record, so Commissioner Fairchild received all of the votes for the executive committee membership. Therefore, there is no need to conduct a roll call vote for the other nominations. If anyone had a different understanding when casting your vote, please let me know so that we can ensure that we are precise. Okay, great. Commissioner Fairchild is a member of the 2020 Executive Committee. I now turn the gavel back over to Chair Iniguez.
Thank you, Shanine, and congratulations, Commissioner
Fairchild.
So yes, Commissioner Fairchild. Again, I'm. Please bear with me for whatever reason. I have a new mic today, so if I cut out, I'm sorry. All right. Next is agenda item 1D. approval of the August 13th, 2020 IQC meeting minutes rather. Commissioners, you should have the minutes of this meeting, August 13th, 2020, with you. And so if you have any substantive changes, please present them now. However, if you are concerned about minor changes not affecting the content, please email them to Denise Figueroa, our IQC liaison. So does anyone have a question or comment? I'm looking for raised hands. Okay, seeing none, I believe we are ready to make a motion. I need a motion to approve the minutes for our last IQC meeting. I recognize Commissioner Munoz. Cannot hear you, Commissioner Munoz.
I move to approve the August 13th minutes of the IQC.
Thank you. The motion has been made by Commissioner Munoz. Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Fairchild.
I'll second.
Thank you. The motion has been seconded by Commissioner Fairchild. Is there any discussion of the motion? Okay. Seeing no raised hands, is there any public comment on the motion?
There is not.
Thank you. With that, I believe we're ready to vote. Denise, will you conduct a roll call vote, please?
Chair Iniguez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Munoz,
Yes.
Commissioner Andre,
Yes.
Commissioner Astorga Almanza,
Yes.
Commissioner Chapman,
Yes.
Commissioner Costa Hernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Fairchild,
Yes.
Commissioner Gotanda,
Yes.
Commissioner Jarvis,
Yes.
Commissioner Pente,
Yes.
Commissioner Renteria,
Yes.
Commissioner Rustin,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonkovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Williamson,
Yes.
Student Member Howard,
Abstain.
Assembly Member Weber,
Yes.
Senator Allen.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is 1F, report of the IQC Chair. I simply wanted to express during the little time that I have here how impressed I am with the state draft of the draft of the state literacy plan. And I'm really looking forward and excited about our discussion later. It does a wonderful job, in my opinion, of describing the alignment of all of the various state resources. And I really, really believe it's going to be received with excitement on the front lines as well. So that would conclude my report for today. So I will now turn it over to Shanine for next item 1G, report of the Executive Director.
Thank you, Chair Iniguez. I want to begin with an acknowledgement of the land that we are inhabiting and to remember that we are guests of this land and we must do our best to never forget its original inhabitants, the Native people, and their sacrifices. I also want to acknowledge that we are in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. In the midst of that, there are several wildfires burning in our state with over 3.1 million acres burned thus far. We've seen several of the largest fires in state history. More than 80 school districts have been directly impacted by the August through September wildfire events. Evacuation orders and even warnings disrupt both in-person and distance learning. Many students and staff have lost their homes. Trauma from this event is, of course, building on past events in many areas. As we see fire containment increasing, we know that the fire season is far from over, and we will also experience new fires and also new public safety power shutoff events in the coming months. So we'd like to stress the importance of preparedness, but also acknowledge the resilience of our educators and our students and the importance of staying connected to one another. Any district that has unmet needs related to fire impacts can reach out to our CDE team at emergencyservices@cde.ca.gov. Also, the CDE continues to support local educational agencies in their distance learning efforts The implementation of Senate Bill 98 and Senate Bill 820 have increased student support mechanisms since the spring distance learning phase. Many of these supports center on distance learning, with guidelines released in August that provide tools and information on instructional minutes and consistent expectations for student engagement. The superintendent's weekly update provides additional information, such as newsletters that provide resources and information for serving various student populations, including English learners, as well as webinars on a variety of related topics. The CDE remains committed to ongoing evaluation to determine future supports our students and educators may need as circumstances evolve. Given all that is impacting our society today, it is also important to note that mental health is important. September is National Suicide Prevention Month. As someone that has been personally impacted by suicide, I am happy to note that the CDE Educator Excellence and Equity Division, along with the San Diego County Office of Education and Living Works, partnered to develop a suicide prevention training to staff and students statewide. It's important to know the signs. CDE's mental health website contains a variety of resources for your use for youth suicide prevention. Also, in July, the CDE welcomed Dr. Daniel Lee, Deputy of Equity. Dr. Lee is a clinical psychologist, school psychologist, and longtime educational leader with a deep background in leading cultural competency. Dr. Lee will support CDE in organizational development around equity, counseling, social and emotional learning, and other whole child programs. Additionally, in August, CDE welcomed Heather Carlson as the new Special Education Director. Heather was previously the Executive Director of Special Education for the Illinois State Board of Education, where she focused on the alignment of systems and supports for students receiving early childhood, multilingual, and special education services. As you know, the State Board of Education approved the World Languages and Arts frameworks recently, as well as the beginning of the instructional materials review process. We are currently seeking instructional materials reviewers for both projects. We have extended the World Languages and Arts instructional materials reviewer applications to September 22nd due to a lack of applicants. Please visit the CDE's instructional materials website for information to share widely with your colleagues. Ethnic Studies is in the 30-day public comment period. The comment period will close at the end of September. All emails should be sent to ethnicstudies@cde.ca.gov. And finally, the Math Curriculum Framework and Evaluation Criteria Committee will have its fourth meeting next week on September 23rd and 24th, where they will review 4 chapters. Commissioners Renteria and Williamson are scheduled to join us. This concludes my Executive Director's report. Thank you.
Thank you. Before our next agenda item, I would like to reiterate that our hearts and minds go out to those who are suffering right now through all of the wildfires. It truly is a challenging time. So our next agenda item is 1H, report of the State Board of Education. Of the 2 State Board liaisons that we have today, or both, I don't know, would either or both of you like to provide any report?
So I'll start, and then Member Rucker is going to follow, and we're going to share with you last week's full day meeting that covered some really important things. So first, let me thank all of you. I know that you had to take time out of your busy days to join us for IQC and the important work today, and I can only imagine how many Zoom meetings you are missing or going to have to check in. So just on behalf of the State Board, we so appreciate your commitment to improving instructional quality, and each of your voices really matter. So, I mean, we know school's open. I know everyone's working harder than ever. I know we're doing a better job than we did in the spring, but I know it's taking everything from all of the educators. So just thank you all who are here today. So our executive director, Karen Stout-Walters, who served us for 7.5 years, did a wonderful job, has moved on to become the executive director of success of the county school superintendents. And last week, Governor Newsom appointed Brooks Allen as his education advisor, and then he now replaces and board ratified. He was our new executive director. He used to work with State Board in policy, helped us during our LCFF implementation. We are delighted to welcome Brooks back we're really going to look forward to working with him and as we move forward with the leadership and coordination. Last week was also really important because we welcomed a new student board member. Zaid Fatah is a senior at Monte Vista High School in San Ramon Valley Unified, and he was sworn in as a student board member for this school year, and his voice is also incredibly important to our work. So I just want to talk about the state accountability system. As you know, with COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of the data collection and the LEA accountability requirements are difficult to meet. So we focused on building the college and career indicator and continuing the work on student growth model and what data we could collect on local indicators. So I think you'll be really pleased to know that under college and career indicator, we adopted 4 new measures, pre-apprenticeships that are available to both traditional schools and dashboard alternative school status. State and federal job programs also open only to DAS schools. Transition work-based learning experiences that are available only to students with IEPs, and transition-based learning experiences also available to students with IEPs and a certificate of completion. So this will allow us to report out on these new measures this fall, in fall of 2020, and we'll use this data to see how we're doing in career readiness and recognizing that it's a process to implement the career programs. We're not using this data to determine any color performance on the dashboard. We will evaluate the 1920 coursework and assessment needed to produce the CCI, and all the data that we can produce will be available in December. And then just on the student growth model, we've been committed for a long time to get a student growth model accurate and correct to recognize student progress. So we've been working for a couple of years on that, and we are now working on a model called the residual gain model. It describes student growth as the difference between students' current status and the expected status based on prior performance on scores. In other words, whether a student has fallen short or exceeded expectations. So we've been working with Educational Testing Service to do a lot of simulations, and we've added a new method called the Estimated Best Linear Predicted Model. That's called the EBLIP. Anyway, just trying to get the growth model correct. And so basically, they're working on a reporting year to make sure that we can show how growth measures, looking at a weighted average student growth measures. In any case, the bottom line is that we're going to be doing a little more study on this, and our intent is that we will adopt one in the coming school year. But Educational Testing Service has been really helping us to try to get our growth measure correct. I guess that's the thing I want you to know the most. And we will not be using it initially for accountability, but to use it for information for local districts. So the timeline was extended, and in March 21, we will be taking up the growth measure for action. So at this time, I'm going to ask Member Rucker. One more thing, and then Member Rucker is going to talk about one thing. We have open commission applications and appointments. All of our applications are due October 8th. So we are looking for our CPAG, which is the California Practitioners Advisory Commission. We're looking for practitioner category, specialized instructional support personnel and paraprofessionals. We're looking for our Advisory Commission on Charter Schools. We're looking for a teacher who's employed by a charter school. The Advisory Commission on Special Education, we have 3 openings. We're looking, preference will be given to parents of a child or a young adult with disabilities. And all applicants must provide evidence of knowledge of IDEA applications. So really important commission for us. IQC is looking for their new student board member. And so we'll be looking for that as well. And also the student member of the board. We actually start that interview process now to be filled late summer in time for fall of 21. So anyway, if you know other colleagues that would be interested in any of our commissions, please check the website. We'd really look forward to interviewing. The interviews start later in October, and we plan to appoint the beginning of November. So with that, I'm going to turn my report over to Member Rucker, who's going to talk about a very exciting topic.
Good morning. I want to welcome all the members of the IQC to this Zoom meeting today. I also want to thank and acknowledge the folks who are stakeholders in the education community who are participating in this meeting and listening in as well. It's with a heavy heart that we have this meeting today. As we sit here, there are fires raging all across the state, and we are in now our 30th day of very poor air quality across the state. And despite all of the things that are happening, schools are persevering. Every single person on this panel has taken time out from their responsibilities as an educator to be here today to do this very important work. And so for the board, during my entire tenure on the board, patience, persistence, and humility have been the foundational elements of the work that we have done. And those are important foundational elements concerning the presentation I'm going to make to you today. In 2017, an act of the legislature created a mandate to establish a state seal of civic engagement to encourage and create pathways for students in elementary and secondary schools to become civically engaged in democratic governmental institutions at the local, state, and national levels. I'm very pleased to tell you that at our meeting last week, the board took action to approve recommended criteria for LEAs to use in establishing this state seal of civic engagement. Research shows that students of color and those living in poverty receive significantly fewer and inferior civic and educational opportunities, that people living in areas of concentrated poverty are significantly less likely to be engaged civically and have fewer opportunities for civic engagement. Finally, the more often a young person is civically engaged, the more likely they are to be civically engaged throughout their life. And so this state seal of civic engagement creates the opportunities for schools to pay attention to what it means for students to be contributors and leaders in all areas and aspects of what creates a school community. Throughout their history, social science, educational experience, students are given opportunities to learn about governance and to learn about the governance structures in which they operate. Other content areas may inform students about issues that they care about or that impact their communities, all while they learn how to appreciate multiple viewpoints and work within the institutions of power to serve their own common good. The fact is, even the youngest students can engage in and demonstrate civic knowledge, skills, and disposition. Civic learning opportunities can begin as early as pre-kindergarten, elementary, and middle school. School districts with this criteria can consider collaborating with their feeder elementary and middle schools and English language development specialists as they develop local criteria, interim award opportunities, and applicable on-ramps for the state seal of civic engagement that can eventually appear on a student's diploma. It's an easy and safe assumption that our current brand new member of the Instructional Quality Commission will be among the first students to receive this state seal of civic engagement in their district if their district chooses to begin that process this year. But the board's intent, and we took the full opportunity of time since the implementation of this legislation to really explore what the criteria should be to ensure that a broad spectrum of students, including students who are not like our current honor student who is serving with us in her first meeting today, but who also are equally engaged and equally concerned about their schools and community and participate in many different ways, also has the opportunity to receive this honor and this recognition. So this is more than just an academic honor, and the criteria that we have approved is more than just academic criteria. Civics is not simply the study of politics and society. It emphasizes participation in classrooms and schools, neighborhoods, groups, and organizations. What defines civic virtues and which democratic principles apply in given situations and when discussions are deliberative, those aren't easy questions, but they are topics for inquiry and discussion and reflection at the local level. Civics enables students not only to study how others participate, but also to practice participating and taking informed action themselves. So the recommended criteria that we have approved requires the students to be on track to complete required high school coursework. or be engaged in academic work in a productive way. The student must demonstrate a competent understanding of United States and California constitutions, functions and governments of local governments, functions of the 3 branches of government, roles of international governments, tribal structures, organizations, and the role of the citizen in a constitutional democracy. Students need to participate in 1 or more informed civic engagement projects that address real-world problems and require students to consider varied problem statements and responses from their own perspectives as well as the perspectives of others, and to take action on and reflect on the efforts to make solutions for meaningful engagements and segments of their own community. Students are asked to present or demonstrate reflection of civic engagement. They're asked to exhibit character traits that reflect civic mindedness and a commitment to impacting the school community or society, and to be supported by a recommendation from a peer, an educator, a mentor, a local, state, or national official, or non-familial community member. We've provided in approving this criteria implementation guidance for districts. Districts can use their own requirements for a student to graduate or grade promote. Districts also are going to be given, the criteria 2 gives districts a clear understanding of what it means to demonstrate a competent understanding of U.S. constitutions, U.S. and California constitutions. Criteria 3 requires students, as I said, to participate in informed civic engagement projects. And one of the most important things that we did in identifying and explaining civic engagement projects was to include a response to and understanding of prejudice as well as racism, particularly African-American racism in communities across this country. That was the one element of criteria 2 and 3 that was amended specifically by the board before the criteria was approved. The board members are particularly clear and very thankful to the legislature for approving this opportunity. California is the first state in the country to create this seal of civic engagement, and we believe it will help us identify not only student leaders going forward, but it will also set the table for what it means for students to be active and participating members in their schools and school communities beyond academic achievement and beyond simply showing up every day for school. So I'm very proud of what the board has done, and I'm very proud to present this information to you. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Before our next agenda item, I want to turn the meeting back over to Executive Director Coates, who needs to amend her report.
Thank you. I mispronounced the name of the Special Education Director. Her name is Heather Calamise, for the record. Thank you. Back to you, Chair Iniguez.
Thank you. See, there's the technical issues again. Thank you so much. And I do want to reiterate also, thank you to the State Board, who is consistent in providing us with very important and very, very enlightening, well, exciting information, for lack of a better term. Thank you. So our next agenda item is item 2, Executive Committee. I now officially call the Executive Committee to order. So I'm just giving you a few minutes here. I'm sorry, a few seconds. So item 2A is the assignment of student member to subject matter committees. As we discussed earlier, today's Maya's first day, and so we need to appoint her to subject matter committees for the remainder of the calendar year. And so with that, please take a look at the survey results that are displayed here. Oh, I'm sorry, I completely forgot, didn't I, to remind the public that if at this point you would like to call in with any comment, it is displayed there on the screen. I'm not going to read the number or the access code. It's the same that I mentioned earlier. And so with that, I'm going back to what I was saying. We need to appoint Maya to our subject matter committees. And so with that, I am assuming that we are going to display a PowerPoint with her preferences. Is that correct, Executive Director Coates?
No, however, her preferences were for the history, social science, and health subject matter committees.
Okay, thank you. So with that, is there any discussion, given that there are two preferences, is there any discussion by any of our IQC members? Seeing none, I would like to ask Denise, would you please read and confirm the two subject matter committees that Maya is interested in and by default that she will be appointed to?
Yes, it is the Health Subject Matter Committee and the History Social Science Subject Matter Committee.
Wonderful. As far as I understand it, no vote is needed. I did offer an opportunity for discussion, and so please correct me in terms of procedure here, but it would appear to me that Maya is officially appointed to those subject matter committees.
That's correct.
Thank you. Wonderful. Congratulations, Maya. Next on our agenda is item 2B, public comment. Is there any member of the public that wants to make public comment? Denise?
There is not.
Okay, thank you so much. I now officially close the executive committee meeting and move to our next agenda item, which is agenda item 3, the English Language Arts, English Language Development Subject Committee. I now turn the meeting over to Commissioner Pantai, Chair of the Subject Matter Committee.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I call to order the English Language Arts, English Language Development SMC. The members of the ELA, ELD SMC are myself, SMC Vice Chair Jarvis, and Commissioner Andre. Today, we're going to be looking at several items, and the first is the State Literacy Plan. And the committee will take action to post the draft State Literacy Plan and online survey for a public review and comment period. I look forward to our discussion of the draft plan, and we will be accepting public comment prior to our action today. And before I introduce Barbara Murchison from the CDE Educator Excellence and Equity Division, who will present the draft plan, I would like to also recognize the Seaford staff, Cliff Rudnick, Administrator, and Kyle Petty, Consultant. So I'm going to turn this over to Barbara.
Thank you, Chair Pantai, and good morning, Instructional Quality Commission members. Oh, cannot hear me.
Well, I can hear you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. Good morning, Instructional Quality Commissioners and everyone else who is joining us this morning. My name is Barbara Murchison. I'm Director of the Educator Excellence and Equity Division, and I am very happy to be here with you today to share information about the Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant and our State Literacy Plan, which is a part of that grant work. As has been discussed, today I am asking that the Instructional Quality Commission approve the draft State Literacy Plan for the public review and comment period, and also approve the online survey for the public review and comment period. Before we get into that, though, I want to provide you some context about this State Literacy Plan and how it is situated within the larger Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant, and also talk a little bit more about the stakeholder engagement that we have undergone thus far and how the public comment survey will take us further in that, and share the timeline where the work that we are requesting that the Instructional Quality Commission do sits in the longer timeline for the implementation of this grant. So just briefly, the Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant was a federal grant opportunity that states could apply for to support literacy instruction from birth to grade 12. So this is a little different for us in that we're really looking at the 0 to 5 space. Typically in my division, we spend most of our time looking at the TK through 12 space. So this plan actually will provide some funding for children from birth through grade 12. The goal is to improve student achievement in reading and writing. We should use those federal funds to develop, revise, or update our comprehensive literacy plan. California does not to date have a comprehensive literacy plan, so this is one that we'll be bringing to the board for adoption and will be our first comprehensive literacy plan. This will allow us also to provide targeted subgrants to local educational agencies to implement evidence-based programs to improve literacy instruction, to make sure that we're providing our students with high-quality literacy instruction that is aligned and supported by evidence. The federal grant opportunity has two important priorities in addition to those opportunities: promoting evidence-based family literacy strategies, and also a focus of this grant and this funding is to increase the educational options for groups of students who have been traditionally underserved. So those are two objectives that we are also trying to meet through implementation of this grant program. For those who want to take a look at the original funding opportunity, we have provided the link to the Federal Register. Last May, I want to say, we undertook the grant writing. Any of you who have participated in writing a grant application know that that can be a very rigorous process. We submitted an application and found out last fall that we had been selected and awarded $37.5 million to participate in this grant program. So our proposal, our successful proposal, really lays out three big objectives. The first one is to align local and state literacy initiatives by establishing specific staff within the Department of Education to coordinate our effort to build state and local capacity over the life of the project. We have a lot of folks at the CDE who are working on literacy initiatives of various kinds. Certainly my colleagues in the Curriculum Frameworks Instructional Resources Division do a lot of work around literacy. Educator Excellence and Equity Division does a lot of work around literacy. Early Learning and Care, lots of divisions, special education, all working to improve literacy for California students. We believe is one of the key functions of an education is to promote literacy and have our graduates be literate individuals. But we do not have a person or an infrastructure at the department to really make sure that all of us are touching base with one another, coordinating our efforts, and kind of strengthening them through that coordination. So that was one of our first objectives. We are in the process. Our application included one in-kind position and one full-time consultant position to help do this coordination function, and we are very close to bringing on that full-time person. I'm excited about that. The second big objective, and this is why we're here today. Our second big objective was to develop and implement an evidence-based, comprehensive state literacy plan that aligns and integrates state literacy initiatives, content standards, and state guidance documents to support teachers, students, birth through grade 12. Again, we have some amazing guidance documents, state board approved documents, CDE developed documents. I'll talk a little bit more about those as this presentation continues. But really, the intent of the plan was not to create new documents or new guidance, but to really bring together the existing guidance in a way that it was more coherent and more accessible to our local educational agencies, teachers, professional learning providers, all of our constituents who are working to improve literacy. So again, bringing things together, coordinating, and providing coherence across the literacy ecosystem. And then our third objective is to build local capacity to establish, align, and implement local literacy initiatives that emphasize family and community involvement to address the needs of California's most vulnerable children. So you'll see across the plan and moving forward as we get into the LEA subgrants that there will be particular attention to emphasizing family and community involvement and addressing the needs of, again, these traditionally underserved groups of students. So if you want to get way into the weeds and look at that application, it is available as item 10 from the July 2019 State Board of Education agenda. So in building this plan, we have engaged an amazing team of literacy experts, educators, people who are very passionate about all elements of literacy. Folks had to apply to serve on the state literacy team, and we have approximately 50 folks, again, from across the state, institutions of higher education, classroom folks, folks from the subject matter project, CDE staff, lots of experts with lots of different types of expertise were convened for the first time in March 2020. I have to do a shout out to our colleagues at the Region 15 Comprehensive Center. March 2020 should seem familiar to you in that we were planning to do an in-person meeting with about 50 folks to talk about literacy and get into it for 2 days. And the week before, everything shut down. So our colleagues at the Comprehensive Center were instrumental in putting together still one of the very best online meetings. It was 2 days long, and this was before we even got used to sitting in Zoom meetings all day. But the meeting was so great, folks were engaged, and we pulled out a lot of information from that literacy team to help us to build a solid draft. We had put together kind of a very drafty draft to present to them, and in March 2020, they gave us so much rich feedback. We spent some time from April through June revising the draft plan based on the feedback from the state literacy team. And then we brought them together again last month to show them the latest draft. And they were, again, very generous with their feedback, gave us a lot of great additional information that they felt would be important to include in the plan. So I do want to acknowledge both the Comprehensive Center and the members of the state literacy team for just the amazing input, support, and expertise that they have given us to help bring the draft to where it is today. You are here, September 2020. We're hopeful that the Instructional Quality Commission will open up the public comment period today, and then it will run from today or tomorrow or however long it takes for us to get things up and ready for folks to participate in the survey through the end of October. And we will be soliciting additional stakeholder feedback throughout the process. So again, our purpose, and it's laid out very clearly at the beginning of the plan, is to align and integrate state literacy initiatives, standards, and guidance documents to support teachers of students from birth through grade 12. It is not meant to establish new guidance on literacy curriculum or instruction. As you very well know, the state has processes in place to develop guidance around English language arts, English language development, and literacy through the curriculum framework development. We also are hoping that this plan will support continuous improvement of state and local literacy programs by connecting the essential literacy guidance from the state guidance documents to support comprehensive and integrated implementation of high-quality literacy programs at state and local levels. And it focuses on the age and grade bands for literacy achievement established by the Common Core, the California Common Core for ELA literacy and the ELA-ELD framework. We also report on current disaggregated literacy achievement data and literacy needs assessment results for all stakeholders to evaluate the outcomes of the current system is producing. And we really want to model. I mean, there are a variety of folks in a variety of places using the continuous improvement process to solidify the state level activities for the comprehensive CSLD grant and to serve as a model for folks to use the continuous improvement process. So we were very deliberate in a couple of areas, which we'll go into a little deeper in a minute. So we've got a variety of sections: the executive summary, an introduction, and then we introduce the comprehensive and integrated literacy model. And this is centered on best first instruction and how to support best first instruction, and really kind of lays out for folks how we believe the guidance might fit together to help improve literacy outcomes for students. We also have a very meaty section where we're leveraging the continuous improvement process in the hopes that LEAs will use a similar process when they're trying to think about their own local literacy plans. So the CDE and our partners, we really looked at statewide literacy needs and developed plans to leverage the funds for the following age grade bands. And I should be clear, there is a federal requirement that 15% of that $37.5 million be invested in supporting literacy for students birth to age 5, 40% be used to support literacy outcomes for transitional kindergarten to grade 5, and another 40% for supporting students in grade 6 to grade 12. And then at the end of the plan, you'll notice that there's works cited and appendices. We're also working on a couple of other small elements like a glossary. Some folks thought that might be helpful. We didn't have time to get that all taken care of before making the plan available to you, but we will be working on that, and you will see that in the next draft. So I want to talk just a little bit about this comprehensive model that we worked on. Certainly the state literacy team was instrumental in helping us to figure out how to think about this. We actually had a small group of folks from the state literacy team come together to help us think about it, and then when we brought it to the larger team, they helped us to solidify our thinking around this best first instruction. So you can see figure 1 from the plan is adapted from the multi-tiered system of support, or MTSS. I know that all county offices and the vast majority of local educational agencies, districts, have received support through the state's Scaling Up Multi-Tiered System of Support grant over the last many years. So most of us, I think, are familiar with this model. Tier 1 represents universal support for all students, high quality first instruction that includes challenging coursework and is inclusive and equitable. And you'll see in the plan that we believe most all of the guidance is a Tier 1 resource. Content standards, the early learning foundations, curriculum frameworks, the instructional resources that the board adopts, assessments, and a couple of the other resources the CDE has developed recently, the dyslexia guidelines and the practitioner's guide for educating ELs with disabilities. We believe those are all Tier 1 supports. And this is important because I think this is the first time we've really said that all teachers and all folks should be thinking about these resources as Tier 1 resources. They should be familiar with the guidance found in the resources because they apply to all students and all classrooms. If students are not meeting grade level expectations, we need to engage in a close examination of the curriculum and teaching practices and make appropriate adjustments. MTSS, the model that the state has designed and is using across the state, goes as far to say that 80% of students should be successful with universal Tier 1 supports. And here is our comprehensive and integrated literacy model. Again, the goal is to try and pull all of the guidance and resources together in a way, in one place, that districts can use to think about, if we're not getting the results we think we should be getting, what should we be thinking about? So figure 2 of the plan really builds on figure 1 and presents our entire comprehensive and integrated literacy model. The model illustrates a system where high-quality literacy instruction occurs within the context of inclusive and equitable systems of schooling, featuring high levels of engagement, a focus on continuous improvement, and application of the MTSS framework. So you can see in the center of this model is figure 1, MTSS and best first instruction. And then surrounding that are 4 important elements for supporting best first instruction. Celebration of diversity and an asset-based approach. And in there, you'll see the EL roadmap, asset-based pedagogies resources that the CDE has compiled, the State Seal of Biliteracy, the California EDGE program. We all know, now more than ever, I think we've all known it, but we know it for sure, if we're not addressing the needs of the whole child, we're probably not going to get very far with academics. So under this, we believe the SEL guiding principles, SEL being social emotional learning guiding principles developed by the department, and tending to health, safety, and nutrition are key resources for supporting schools to support students. We've always known that well-prepared and supported teachers and leaders are key to successful instruction. And the department, we've tried to organize in that quadrant the quality professional learning standards, which help folks design high-quality professional learning that will improve student outcomes. The Promoting Equitable Access to Teachers program, which really looks at addressing any kind of disparities around who is teaching whom and making sure that all students have equitable access to well-prepared and supported teachers. And of course, all of the standards that have been adopted by the state, the California Standards for the Teaching Profession and the California Professional Standards for Educational Leaders, or CAPSLs, are in that quadrant. And then in keeping with the priorities of the grant and certainly what we know about supporting student success, family and community engagement are also key to high quality instruction. And the department has put together a number of resources to help LEAs address those needs, including the California Family Engagement Framework and Toolkit, the Early Learning Family Partnerships and Culture documents. And you'll notice, or I hope you can see on your little screens, that we have also mapped the state priorities under local control funding formula to this model so that it's very clear that LEAs can meet the priorities of LCFF through use of these documents and resources, and to be able to feel confident as they're using those and talking about them in their local control and accountability plans. So many of these resources, I think whenever you try and sort things into manageable chunks, you run the risk of losing the connections across those chunks. And I think we've tried to be very clear that there are a lot of interrelated resources. We could put various resources in various quadrants and it would still work. This was our best attempt at that. And as we get into the narrative that follows the model, we do call out those connections more clearly. At the local level, we're hopeful that this model can support LEAs to consider the degree to which literacy programs are leveraging the state guidance and the resources to meet the needs of students. So finally, in terms of the big things, as I mentioned, we did try to model a continuous improvement process with our state literacy team as we built out the plan. And on this screen with some tiny print, again, I apologize for those of you who are looking at your little screens at home, you can see the process that we used. So the first step, and you see it all through that section of the plan, the next big chunk of the plan. The first step is to set direction and purpose. To do this, we reviewed excerpts from the frameworks that highlighted the kinds of literacy learning that takes place in each one of the age and grade spans. Again, we have the 0 to 5 span, the TK through 6 span, and then or TK through 5 span, and then the 6 through 12 span. And then we noted the goals were for all students to meet those grade level expectations set forth by the standards for ELA and literacy, and all the guidance in the frameworks could be used to get students to those standards. So again, setting direction and purpose, anytime you're embarking on a continuous improvement process, you want to keep that goal in mind. The second step of the process is to assess needs and determine the causal factors of the greatest needs. And for us, we worked with our state literacy team to look at CASP data, and we had conducted a statewide needs assessment around literacy. And so folks broke up into groups and really dove into all of those data sources to try and figure out where were the gaps, what were the specific things that we should be addressing as we're thinking about how to invest these funds for this grant. This is by no means in the plan like a comprehensive deep data dive. We had several hours over the course of a few days to really look at the state level data. Our hope is that as districts are looking at their own local needs assessment, that they'll look at their dashboards really closely. I think these are things that folks do with their LCAP process already, but the intent is that folks should look at EL progress and English learner progress and a variety of different student engagement and school climate measures as well. Then the meat of the plan is there in step 3. What would be our plan for improvement? This notion of selecting evidence-based strategies that could address the greatest needs. So we spent a lot of time thinking about things that we could do to address the gaps that we saw at the state level. And then we spent a lot of time looking at evidence-based strategies that we had prepared and researched from the What Works Clearinghouse, and looking around to make sure that the things that we were thinking about including were evidence-based. Again, that is a requirement of this grant. And for birth to age 5, the 2 big strategies that folks wanted to dive deeper in and invest in were supporting early childhood education programs to create literacy-rich environments and experiences, and support the quality of early childhood education programs and their capacity to support early language and literacy skills. So that was one of the priorities set by the team. And also to increase parenting support by increasing parental knowledge, skills, and confidence through parenting curriculum and literacy activities with special attention to access and equity for all. So 2 big priorities for the birth to 5 set. And again, we're really happy with those because they take into account that family engagement that is a priority for the federal grant, but also for us, obviously. For TK to grade 5, the goals are to build teacher capacity for Tier 1 foundational skills and reading comprehension, including best first reading and writing instruction, to build school capacity for effective literacy and English language instruction for English learners, including opportunities to develop biliteracy and primary language instruction wherever possible, to build school capacity to support students struggling with reading, including but not limited to students with disabilities and students with dyslexia, and to increase sustainable high-quality professional learning systems, including literacy coaching models. And then for grade 6 to grade 12, a big focus on interdisciplinary literacy, building teacher capacity across the disciplines for literacy instruction, increase asset-based teaching in schools, including culturally and linguistically responsive and sustaining pedagogies, build school capacity for effective academic content and literacy instruction for English learners, including opportunities to develop biliteracy and primary language instruction wherever possible, and to build school capacity for effective literacy instruction for students with disabilities. So I said it before, probably say it 200 more times, not today, not with you all, I know. Got to get on to other things. The state literacy team was amazing. Through our conversation, they came up with priorities that were very much in tune with California's commitment to meeting the needs of each and every child, and also meeting the priorities of the federal grant. So that section of the plan, we go into some detail around different strategies that folks can use to attain those goals. And then for strategy 4, obviously we need to get to implementing and monitoring, and not for strategy 4, step 4 in the continuous improvement process. We need to implement and monitor the work as we go. We are planning, once the plan is approved, to release RFAs, requests for applications, to select county offices of education who will implement some of those strategies. And then our intention, as with any good continuous improvement process, is to reflect and adjust course in our implementation of those grants as we go. Those grants will run for 4 years, and we are very excited about the results, the potential for much improved literacy instruction. So stakeholder engagement, as with most things we do at the California Department of Engagement, maybe that could be our new name, California Department of Education. Stakeholder engagement is key to most all of our big projects. We have set up, again, that first goal of promoting coherence across the literacy efforts within the department. We have a monthly literacy roundtable facilitated by the Educator Excellence and Equity Division, where all folks who are interested or working on literacy initiatives come together to learn about the implementation of this grant, but also to share with one another the work that's happening in their own divisions and units. We also have regular meetings with our partner organizations. Our application established a formal partnership with the Comprehensive Center, West Ed, First Five California, the CISESA, California County Superintendents Educational Services Association, and I know I'm forgetting a partner. I apologize. Wherever you're, State Board of Education. Sorry, didn't mean to leave you out. Those are our partners who are working with us throughout the life of the grant, who we will be getting feedback from as we go. California subject matter projects too. Sorry, California subject matter projects. Again, we have this amazing state literacy team who have really helped us throughout. And we did this comprehensive statewide literacy needs assessment that was disseminated across the state and provided us with rich data and information about what's going on in districts right now. And as you can see here on the bottom of the slide, we are about to move into some formal stakeholder engagement by opening up a formal public comment process to get more feedback on this plan. Obviously, a plan is only as good as folks' ability to implement it, so we want to make sure that folks have an opportunity to let us know if there are issues or things that are good about it. So our intent is to collect public comment both by the survey that we are asking you to approve today, and also at any time anyone can send feedback to the email we have established for this grant program, clsdp@cde.ca.gov. I'm not going to get way into the survey because you have a link to it in this item, and I'm sure you've taken a look at it. It's relatively straightforward. It just asks for general information from each respondent, and then we ask them to provide us with comments on each one of the sections: the introduction, the comprehensive and integrated literacy model, and the continuous improvement model. And also there's space for folks to give us an overall evaluation of the plan. So we first convened the SLT in March 2020. We convened them again and provided the State Board of Education with a memo around progress on this grant implementation in August. Today, there you are, right in the middle of the timeline. We are presenting the plan to you and hopefully opening up the public comment period. And then in January, well, we should put in here November. We hope to be back with you in November to bring you the results of the public comment period and get your feedback on that. And then our intent is to present the draft plan to the board for feedback in January and to present the final plan to the board for approval in March. Beyond this arrow, right after we have an approved plan, we will get to launch a competitive grant process where county offices of education will be able to apply to implement some of the priorities that are established in the plan. And that grant program will go for 4 years. Again, through continuous improvement process, we'll be tracking to see what we can learn from those programs that could be scaled up potentially statewide. As I mentioned, we did provide the board with an information memorandum in August 2020, and that has the most current information about the grant and what we've been up to. And for those of you who have not already signed up, we do have a listserv, which will keep folks apprised of developments with this grant program. And we do have a web page. If you just type in CLSD at the top of the CDE web page, there's that search box, and it will get you to all kinds of information about what's going on with this grant, what's going on with the state literacy team, and what's going on with the plan. So again, here are the requested actions for today. And I am happy to entertain any questions that you might have. And if you think of something that you really meant to ask me today and it slipped your mind, you can contact me at any time at bmurchison@cde.ca.gov, or again, send your questions to the CLSD email box. So with that, I will turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. Before we proceed, we're going to take a short 15-minute break.
Commissioner Pantai, I see
yes.
that Board Member Strauss has her hand up. Before.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll make it short. First, I have participated on the literacy team, and I just want to tell you all that doing this remotely, really a credit to Wested and all the facilitators for getting the plan to you in the form it is today, considering it was done through several meetings. We have a great diverse representation on the state literacy team, lots of diverse perspectives, and we worked in 3 groups, the elementary, the preschool, the elementary, and the secondary. They worked very, very hard, so just a credit. I just want to ask Barbara one question. Barbara, I know this planning to go to the state board in March of 2021. My question is, following that, I know there's a grant process, it's competitive, and there will be some county offices that will receive the grant. What's the timeline for when a county office who receives a grant is likely to put this into place? Is it 22? Is it fall of 21? I know it takes a while once the grant is approved at the state board. Do you have a sense of the timing of that? Because I think it would be helpful for those on IQC and also for those who are watching. Thank you.
So, I've got the timeline back up on the screen. Our intent is to bring the draft plan to the board for feedback. I know from experience with other plans that the board would like to have that opportunity to really talk through the content and provide initial feedback and talk to us about the process and do all of that good conversation. So we're bringing it to the board for feedback in January, and we're hopeful that we can have it approved by the board in March. Since the plan includes priorities for investing those funds, we can't run the RFA, we can't run the request for application and award those funds until we have an approved plan. So if all goes smoothly, we anticipate that county offices will be awarded and up and running their literacy programs by September of 2021.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Pantai, go ahead.
I was going to ask if there are any other questions before we proceed. We're going to take a short 15-minute break. So it is about 11:20 right now. I'm going to round it to maybe 11:35. We'll meet back. So a short 15-minute break.
Welcome back, everyone. At 11:35, Denise will conduct a roll call just to ensure we're all back, and it looks like it's 11:35.
Chair Iniguez.
Present.
Vice Chair Munoz.
Here.
Commissioner Andre.
Here.
Commissioner Estorga Almanza.
Here.
Commissioner Chapman. Commissioner Costa Hernandez.
Here.
Commissioner Fairchild.
Present.
Commissioner Gotanda. Commissioner Gotanda. Commissioner Jarvis. Commissioner Jarvis.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Pantai.
Here.
Commissioner Renteria.
Here.
Commissioner Rustin.
Here.
Commissioner Tonkovich.
Present.
Commissioner Williamson.
Here.
Assemblymember Weber. Assemblymember Weber. Senator Allen.
Here.
Board Member Rucker?
Here.
Board Member Strauss?
Here.
Student Member Howard?
Here.
Commissioner Gotanda? Assembly Member Weber? Okay.
I'll turn it over to Commissioner Pantai. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Welcome back, everyone, from your short break. And thank you, Barbara, for the presentation. Now, I would like to invite members of the public who wish to provide comment to do so. But for giving public comment, in order to ensure that there is time for speakers to be heard, we are asking people to adhere to the following practices. Individuals wishing to make public comment must call in to the number provided on the IQC agenda. Members of the public dialing in to the meeting will be put in a queue. When you are called upon, please state the following: your first and last name, organization affiliation, if any, and your public comment. Speakers will be allotted 1 minute to give public comment. In order to be able to hear from everyone, we will be keeping track of the time, and your time will end at 1 minute. Okay. Denise, are there any public comments?
There is not.
Let's wait for maybe 1 minute just in case folks are dialing in.
Okay.
Denise, do we have any public comment at this time?
We do.
Let's wait for...
Caller, you may begin.
Yes, hello?
Yes, you may begin.
Okay. Yeah, I got a question about the ethnic studies curriculum.
Unfortunately, we are not accepting public comment on ethnic studies right now. This is about the state literacy plan. Thank you.
Okay.
Is there any further public comment?
There is not.
Thank you.
Okay, then we're ready to proceed. We're going to go ahead and look at the approval for the draft of the state literacy plan for public review and comment period. And I believe we are now ready to take action on the draft of the state literacy plan. There will be two motions. The first will be to recommend the draft state literacy plan to the full IQC for the public review and comment period. The second will be to ask the full IQC to delegate the IQC chair and the SMC chair to work with EEED staff as they make the changes that are approved by the commission. Would you like the staff to summarize any of the changes?
There were no changes by the SMC.
Okay, great. Then I need a motion from an SMC member to recommend to the Instructional Quality Commission that the draft state literacy plan be posted for public review and comment period.
I motion. I motion to recommend the draft state literacy plan to the full IQC for public review and the comment period.
Commissioner Jarvis has her hand up. Did you have a question, Commissioner Jarvis? Or?
I do. I guess I'm trying to understand when we would ask questions about the plan and maybe seek to clarify any language in the plan. Does that happen after public comment, or is this the appropriate time?
This is the appropriate time to do so.
Okay. And to whom should I address the question? Is it to Barbara?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Barbara, I want to thank you for that presentation, and it's really nice to see that something that many of us are passionate about really created a thoughtfully woven master plan for literacy. I have a question on page 25 of the draft plan. Under additional resources to support access and equity, the second paragraph, the second sentence reads, the first section provides information about California's diverse student population and includes recommendations for attending to specific educational needs, including the needs of English learners, multilingual learners, students with specific disabilities, students living in poverty, advanced learners, and more. I'm seeking clarification on the section that refers to students with specific disabilities. Is it referring to students with all disabilities, students with a specific disability, or students that qualify for special education under the category of specific learning disability?
Thank you for that very specific question. I do not have the ELA ELD framework in front of me. This refers to the Access and Equity chapter of the ELA ELD framework. My best thinking is that it refers to all students who are eligible for special education programs.
That makes sense to me. And if that is the intention of that phrase, I would like to recommend that we remove the word specific and simply have students with disabilities.
Thank you. We can make that update. Thank you.
Are there any other discussions, comment, or questions?
I do have another one on page 84 under supporting students with disabilities. That first paragraph, I believe it's sentence number 3. The spectrum of severity of disability and the educational needs within each disability category are widely variable. And I understand that sentence to mean that there is a wide range of severity within a disability. But I believe that when we talk about special education, there's often an association with the word spectrum with autism. And so I was wondering if it's possible to replace the word spectrum with the word range in order to provide further clarity.
Thank you. We will make that adjustment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other comment, discussion, or questions? Seeing none, I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Pantai. Looks like we have a modified motion now.
Yes, so I need a motion from an SMC member to recommend the Instructional Quality Commission that the draft state literacy plan be posted for public review and comment period.
With the 2 changes that were agreed upon today.
Correct. Commissioner Andre?
Okay, I motion to recommend that the draft with the 2 changes of the state literacy plan to be recommended to the full IQC for public review and a comment period.
Thank you. Moved by Commissioner Andre. Can I have a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Second by Commissioner Rucker.
Jarvis?
Jarvis, sorry. Is there any discussion of the motion? Are there any commissioners not on the committee who would like to comment? Are there any comments from the State Board liaison?
This is Board Member Rucker. I do have a comment. I wasn't clear that the motion included the friendly amendments for the content language that was changed. I was not clear that's what the motion actually did. Could I hear the motion again?
Yes, the motion is to recommend to the Instructional Quality Commission that the draft state literacy plan be posted for a public review and comment period, inclusive of the changes we have agreed upon today, which are the two changes. The first on page 25, the removal of the word specific, and the second, page 84, replace the word spectrum with range.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, I believe that we are now ready to vote by roll call. Remember, only members of the ELA-ELD Subject Matter Committee can vote. Denise, would you please call the roll?
SMC Chair Pantai?
Yes.
Vice Chair Jarvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Andre? Commissioner Andre? Oh, I think she might be frozen.
I think she's had a technical difficulty. We do have a majority.
Motion passes.
Okay, I would like a motion to ask the full Instructional Quality Commission to delegate to the IQC Chair and the ELA-ELD SMC Chair the review and approval of the agreed upon changes to the draft state literacy plan, as well as any minor edits identified by the EEED staff before the draft is posted for public review and comment. Would anybody like to motion?
And again, it's members of the ELA-ELD Subject Matter Committee that would make that motion.
I make a motion to recommend the plan for approval to the full IQC with the changes agreed upon.
So
Thank you. The motion.
One moment. So this motion is to ask the full Instructional Quality Commission to delegate to the IQC Chair and the ELA-ELD Subject Matter Committee Chair the review and approval of the agreed upon changes to the draft state literacy plan, as well as any minor edits identified by each staff before the draft is posted for public review and comment.
Yes, and the motion was made by Commissioner Jarvis. Is there a second to the motion?
So it looks like Commissioner Andre is still perhaps trying to log back in.
Okay.
Let's give her a few moments. Chair Iniguez, as the chair of the IQC, you are a member of each of the subject matter committees. So if you desired, you would be able to make the motion as well, or second the motion as well.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that, because if that is what the bylaws indicate for clarification, then yes, I will make the motion.
Chair Iniguez seconds the motion. Thank you.
Is there any discussion of the motion? Are there any commissioners not on the committee who would like to comment? Are there any comments from the state board liaison? Okay, I believe we are now ready to vote by roll call. Remember, only members of the ELA-ELD Subject Matter Committee can vote. Denise, would you please call the roll?
SMC Chair Pantai?
Yes.
Vice Chair Jarvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Andre? I think she's still not on. Chair Iniguez?
So the bylaws allow me to vote on the motions in the subcommittees? If so, then yes.
Yes, they do.
Then yes.
The motion passes.
Okay, proceeding forward here. We have one last piece of business today. We need to take action on the survey that will be posted on the CDE webpage along with the draft state literacy plan. The online survey will allow survey users to provide written comments on sections of the draft plan. Survey users can respond to as many or as few questions as they choose. The comments received during the field review will be compiled by EEED staff and presented to the ELA-ELD Subject Matter Committee and the IQC for consideration. Are there any questions about the survey? Seeing that there are none, I need a motion from an ELD-ELA Subject Matter Committee member to recommend that the Instructional Quality Commission approve the survey question for the online survey that will be posted along with the draft state literacy plan. Oh, Commissioner Tonkovich, you have your hand raised.
I did. I had a question based on the public comment we all received in the email on the survey, and not being an expert, I just wanted to get feedback for you, for those who are on the MSC, what your feeling was. Were they asked to include that one extra bullet point under number 9? Do you know what I'm referring to? About rating the plan's effect. I'll read it right out loud. Please rate the plan's effectiveness in supporting effective literacy instruction for unduplicated students, English learners, socioeconomic disadvantaged students, homeless students, or foster youth, students with disabilities, or other vulnerable student populations. It looked at like an interesting addition to me, but I wanted to hear the SMC's point of view on that.
Any comments? I think that that will be added to the, including the survey and other posted comments, that we will take public comments and look at it in the end. So I think that it's definitely a good consideration. Any other commissioners?
But I'm unclear. Does that mean it is being considered or it's not being considered, or it will be considered later during the meeting?
I wasn't clear when I assumed it was going to be considered later. So I guess I'm not clear on that.
Well, it's not an auditory public comment. It was a written one. So I don't know. I'll leave it in your good hands.
Member Strauss has her hand raised as well.
So it's my understanding. Yeah, it's my understanding that Member Pantai is correct, that we're taking these public comments, and for those of you who've gone through the public comments, we'll go through these as an IQC, each one, and discuss whether we as an IQC want to accept them or modify them or reject them. So that, and we did get another letter as well. But we'll be looking at all of those, and really so appreciate the public taking their time to submit those to us.
So just to be clear, these are just actions that we're going to take on today to post the draft for public comments. Any other questions before we proceed? Okay, I need a motion from an ELA-ELD Subject Matter Committee member to recommend that the Instructional Quality Commission approve the survey questions for the online survey that will be posted along with the draft state literacy plan.
I make a motion to recommend that the Instructional Quality Commission approve the survey questions for the online survey that will be posted along with the draft of the state literacy plan.
Thank you. The motion has been moved by Commissioner Jarvis. Is there a second to the motion?
I second the motion.
Thank you. The motion has been seconded by Commissioner Andre. Is there any discussion of the motion? Is there any discussion of the motion from any of the commissioners who would like to comment? Are there any comments from the State Board liaison? Is there any public comment on the motion at all?
There is not.
Okay, I believe that we are now ready to vote by roll call. Remember, only members of the ELA-ELD Subject Matter Committee can vote. Denise, would you please?
SMC Chair Pente?
Yes.
Vice Chair Jarvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Andre?
Yes.
Motion passes.
The ELA-ELD Subject Matter Committee has taken very important actions today, and I want to thank all of the committee members for their contributions to the discussions and the decision-making process. I also want to thank the other commissioners, the State Board liaisons, and members of the public who provided comments and suggestions today. And finally, I want to express my appreciation to the staff at the CDE and the State Board for guiding us through our actions today. I look forward to seeing the public feedback on this draft of the State Literacy Plan. I now adjourn this meeting for the English Language Arts, English Language Development Subject Matter Committee.
Thank you, Commissioner Pantai. So moving on with our agenda, the next item is agenda item number 4A, reports, actions from subcommittees. Excuse me. In this case, it would be the English Language Arts, English Language Development Subject Matter Committee that we just heard. So with that, I now officially reconvene the full commission to consider several items reported from the subcommittees. Action number 1 would be approval of the draft state literacy plan for the public review and comment period. And so Commissioner Pantai, as chair of the ELA/ELD subject matter committee, do you have a motion for the full IQC?
Yes, as chair of the English Language Arts, English Language Development SMC, I move that the full commission approve the draft state literacy plan to be posted for public review and comment period.
Thank you. The motion has been made by Commissioner Pantai, and because we did make a few edits, we need a second on the motion. Is there a second on the motion? I see Commissioner Williamson, your hand is up.
Yes, I second the motion to move forward for the full commission to approve the draft state literacy plan to post for public review and comment period with the changes recommended by the committee.
Thank you. The motion has been seconded by Commissioner Williamson. And so, okay. Oh, I thought I saw another hand. So is there any discussion on the motion? Okay. Yes, I see one hand. That would be Commissioner Renteria.
Hi, thank you. I have a quick question. So I know that we do always consider all public comment at a later time, but considering what Commissioner Tonkovich brought up, I also had a question about that specific request from Californians Together of adding a very explicit bullet point to the overall evaluation to see how strategies supported our unduplicated students. I think that that's something that should be discussed today because that survey is going to be going out for public comment and input. So I just wanted to know, is this the point where we discuss that specific part since it's directly connected to the survey? Or are we going to
We can certainly discuss the public comment that was received on this item. Barb Murchison is here to respond.
Okay. So, hi, thank you for that question. I am here to serve. I think it's important that the plan address not just unduplicated pupils, but all traditionally underserved student groups per the federal requirements. So I'm happy to entertain that. We do start the literacy plan with, a very clear statement around equity, with a conversation about California's diverse student populations. And I guess I'm just resistant to just saying unduplicated pupils because I know we've had lots of conversations over the last several years around students that may not be included in that unduplicated pupil description. So I am very happy to entertain language around an additional bullet point To capture that, I think it's a good idea, since it is a priority of the federal grant and certainly a priority of the CDE to address the needs of traditionally underserved students. We could easily add that bullet, but when it comes to like listing out specific student subgroups, I'm a little concerned about omitting any particular group.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we at least added some kind of bullet with similar language. I see where you're coming from in terms of the being very specific. I want to highlight that because I do think that oftentimes we think about all students, and yet this very specific population is still always underlooked. So this is such an important part of moving forward with literacy and just bilingual education. There's so many other things involved, but I just wanted to make sure that we address them specifically. So as long as there's another bullet point that addresses that, I would feel comfortable with that. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. So what I am now unclear about procedurally, as we all know, a specific motion has been made and it has been seconded. During the course of discussing the motion, I believe, but I am not certain, that we are now adding an additional bullet point that we did not agree upon prior to making the motion. Am I correct so far?
That's correct.
Okay, so procedurally then, would we need to make another motion to revise the motion at hand so that it then takes into consideration the modified or the added bullet point?
That's correct, Chair Iniguez.
Thank you. So with that said, may I have a motion to modify the current motion so that it takes into account the changes just described? I see Commissioner Renteria's hand up. Cannot hear you, Commissioner Renteria, if you can hear us.
Oh, sorry. I move to make that motion.
Okay, so the motion for everyone, as I understand it, is that, excuse me, the chair of the English Language Arts, English Language Development Subject Matter Committee made a motion to move that the full commission approve the draft state literacy plan to be posted for public review and comment period with and including the changes just discussed. If that is a correct interpretation of the motion, may I have a second? I see Commissioner Tonkovich's hand up.
Well, the suggestion that was just made has to do with this. My understanding is the survey, not the plan. So I think that would be the motion as we go down and we discuss. We make a motion on the survey. Isn't that correct?
Well, yes, that is correct. If the survey is considered in isolation of that, and so I believe that you would be correct, which is why I asked if we needed to modify the motion. So, can we clarify? I mean, obviously we're split.
Let's clarify, Commissioner Iniguez. So
Yeah.
currently we're on action 1, which is approve the draft state literacy plan for the public review and comment period. The question regarding the public comment was actually related to the survey and not the draft plan itself. That is my understanding. So given that, then the motion that is on the table is the motion made by ELA, ELD Chair Pantai to approve the draft state literacy plan be posted for public review and comment period with the two changes that were recommended by the committee, because those were the changes that were actually recommended to the draft. And then
thank you for that clarification.
So that's where we are.
Yeah. Thank you so much for clarification, particularly when it comes to the minutes that will be published. We need to be very clear about this. So as was just stated by Executive Director Coates, the motion was made by Commissioner Pantai and seconded originally by Commissioner Williamson. So that is the motion that we're going with. Is there a discussion on that motion? At that point, if you remember, Commissioner Renteria asked a question, but is there any additional comments on the original motion? Okay. Seeing no hands. Next, are there any comments from our state board liaisons on the motion? Okay, seeing none, I believe we are ready to vote. Denise, would you conduct a roll call vote, please?
Chair Negus,
Yes.
Vice Chair Munoz, Vice Chair Munoz,
We cannot hear you.
I actually don't see her on right now. Okay. Commissioner Andre,
Yes.
Commissioner Storgal-Mansa,
Yes.
Commissioner Chapman,
Yes.
Commissioner Costa Hernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Fairchild,
Yes.
Commissioner Gotanda,
Yes.
Commissioner Jarvis,
Yes.
Commissioner Pantai,
Yes.
Commissioner Renteria,
Yes.
Commissioner Rustin,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonkovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Williamson,
Yes.
Student Member Howard,
Yes.
Assembly Member Weber,
Yes.
Senator Allen,
Yes.
motion passes.
Chair Negus.
See, there are the technical issues again. I apologize. Next is action 2, delegate to the IQC Chair and the ELA/ELD Subject Matter Committee Chair. Commissioner Pantai, as Chair of the relevant Subject Matter Committee, do you have a motion for the full IQC?
Yes, as Chair of the English Language Arts, English Language Development SMC, I move that the full commission delegate to the IQC Chair and myself, the ELA/ELD SMC Chair, to review the agreed upon changes to the draft state literacy plan, as well as any minor edits identified by the EEED staff before the draft is posted for public review and comment.
Thank you. The motion has been made by Commissioner Pantai. Is there a second to the motion? I see two hands. Commissioner Fairchild?
A second.
Thank you. The motion has been seconded by Commissioner Fairchild. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay. I see none. Is there any comment from our state board liaisons on the motion? Seeing none, I believe we are ready to vote. Denise, would you conduct a roll call vote, please?
Chair Negus,
Yes.
Vice Chair Munoz,
Yes.
Commissioner Andre,
Yes.
Commissioner Storgal-Mansa,
Yes.
Commissioner Chapman,
Yes.
Commissioner Costa Hernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Fairchild,
Yes.
Commissioner Gotanda,
Yes.
Commissioner Jarvis,
Yes.
Commissioner Pantai,
Yes.
Commissioner Renteria,
Yes.
Commissioner Rustin,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonkovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Williamson,
Yes.
Student Member Howard,
Yes.
Assembly Member Weber,
Yes.
Senator Allen,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Next is action 3, full IQC approval of the draft state literacy plan online survey for the public review and comment period. To be clear, this is the portion that we were referencing several action items ago with regard to a particular bullet point. So with that said, Commissioner Pantai, as Chair of the ELA/ELD Subject Matter Committee, do you have a motion for the full IQC?
Yes, as Chair of the English Language Arts, English Language Development SMC, I move that the IQC approve the draft state literacy plan online survey for the public review and comment period.
Thank you. The motion has been made by Commissioner Pantai. Is there a second to the motion? Okay, Commissioner Williamson, I see your hand.
I second the motion.
Thank you. The motion has been seconded by Commissioner Williamson. Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Tonkovich, I see your hand raised. Is that correct? Do you have any comment on this motion?
Yes, I'm a little unclear. I'm unclear on whether the recommendation that Commissioner Renteria and I talked about, was it approved? What is the specific language of that change, or was it not approved?
So I think it was approved, and the specific language that I propose to include in the survey to add an additional bullet point that says, please rate the plan's effectiveness in supporting effective literacy instruction for student populations who have traditionally been underserved.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, so with that, are there any other commissioners that would like to comment on the motion? Okay, seeing none, as you can see, I'm stalling. Are there any comments from our state board liaisons on the motion? Okay, seeing none, I believe we are ready to vote. Denise, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Chair Iniguez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Munoz?
Yes.
Commissioner Andre?
Yes.
Commissioner Estorga-Almanza?
Yes.
Commissioner Chapman?
Yes.
Commissioner Costa Hernandez?
Yes.
Commissioner Fairchild?
Yes.
Commissioner Gotanda?
Yes.
Commissioner Jarvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Pantai?
Yes.
Commissioner Renteria?
Yes.
Commissioner Rustin?
Yes.
Commissioner Tonkovich?
Yes.
Commissioner Williamson?
Yes.
Student Member Howard?
Yes.
Assembly Member Weber?
Yes.
Senator Allen?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Our next, thank you everyone, I should say, before our next agenda item for all the great work. And once again, I did say it earlier, but just to reiterate, I really, really do find the draft of the state literacy plan to be well put together and easily understood. Thank you so much. Our next action item on the agenda is 4B, Commissioner Acknowledgements. And so for this, I will turn the meeting over to Executive Director Coates.
Thank you, Chair Iniguez. So I am sad to announce that today is Commissioner and Chair Iniguez's last day of service on the Instructional Quality Commission. His term will end at the end of this month. And so in preparation, we do have some items that we are going to mail to you, certificate and as well as a plaque from the Sunshine Committee. But from the California Department of Education, I'd just like to read for you the certificate today. So it says, the certificate is presented to Jose Iniguez in honor of outstanding service as a valued member of the Instructional Quality Commission from 2016 through 2020. Your valuable contributions of time and expertise have been instrumental in furthering our mission to provide all children with quality and innovative educational materials so they can develop and achieve their full potential. I extend my sincere appreciation for the time and effort you have contributed to such a worthwhile endeavor, signed by State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurman. And also, I just wanted to take a few moments to recapture the time that Chair Iniguez has spent with the Instructional Quality Commission. I won't be able to capture everything, but here are a few highlights. In 2017, Chair Iniguez was the co-chair of the Ad Hoc Committee on Assessment and Accountability, and the IQC adopted the History Social, had the History Social Science adoption. And then in 2018, he was the chair of the Ad Hoc on the Every Student Succeeds Act. The Health Framework was adopted, and the Computer Science Standards were adopted. In 2019, he was the chair of the Ad Hoc on the California System of Support and also the vice chair of the Math Subject Matter Committee, bringing us to 2020, where you have effectively served as the chair of the Instructional Quality Commission. Thank you so much for your service. I will now open it up to your fellow commissioners who would like to speak words, and I see that Member Strauss has her hand up.
Well, Chair Anikas, just on behalf of the State Board, just listening to that list of all the things you've been involved with, we truly thank you for your public service, your patience, your facilitation, and especially during these really trying times. I think you've been a model for us. I think the knowledge that you've gained in working through all those frameworks will be really helpful as you continue to work on behalf of children in California. You've been a great model and resource for us, and I know Member Rucker would also like to thank you, but just on behalf of the board, you've been this is public service at its highest level. We so appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Rucker, would you like to have acknowledgements? Okay, we'll come back to Member Rucker. Commissioner Tonkovich.
Well, you know, I'm trying not to get weepy because 3 commissioners came on in ending in 2020, Commissioner Murphy-Corwin and Commissioner Iniguez and myself. And it has been a pleasure and a privilege and a joy to be serving with Commissioner Iniguez. And we would stay at the end and meet, and we'd talk about our homes and our families. But yet, during the meetings, he has so much respect because when State Board member Eileen Strauss said his ability as a facilitator, he makes sure everyone had a voice. He treated everyone with respect. He has that calm, pleasant demeanor. And I will always remember his anecdote when he talked about becoming chair, how he was like Kermit the Frog. He said he didn't know he wanted to be a frog until he got it. And so I was very happy that he has been chair during his last year. And I honestly hope that we will continue to, I'll continue to talk to Commissioner Iniguez on his wise counsel.
Thank you. Vice Chair Munoz.
Hi, I also want to add on to what Commissioner Tonkovich was expressing. It's been an honor to serve with you. You're facilitating, you inspire me to continue to push on, but I think you most importantly inspire the children that you have served under this board in the different capacities of the committees that you've served on. But on a personal note, I just want to say thank you for all the discussions, your insight to educational issues, cross issues that helped me to understand and deepen my enrichment of what's happening out in the state of California that needs to meet the needs of all of our students. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the laughter. Thank you for your being inspirational, and thank you for your passion. I'll miss you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fairchild.
I just wanted to take a moment and talk on a personal note. When I first came in, we would end up sitting side by side, and he was always so patient and so gracious. And I really have learned a lot about just about this IQC process through you. But I think the most important thing that I've learned is your passion for what's best for students and always keeping them in the forefront of conversations and making sure that they are thought of. So I have learned so much from you on a personal level. I really appreciate all of your time and attention in making me a better educator. So thank you very much. I'm very grateful for my time getting to know you.
Thank you. Commissioner Renteria.
Thank you. I too just want to echo some of what my colleagues have shared. In the past 3 years, just getting to know you, it's been such a professional privilege. Your composure is just so respectable. You always came prepared and had all these questions, and without even realizing it, you would inspire me to go back to when we had our live meetings, go back to the hotel and like read again. I would read all my notes again just to make sure I could come the next day and at least have a couple of questions too, so that I could be at your level. So thank you for that. And thank you for always putting up that bar and that expectation a little bit higher, because you're one of those people that just has that effect on others. We see you care, and then we all care. So we wish you the best in your journey ahead. You're going to continue making a difference. We're going to miss you on the IQC, but just know that your impact is everlasting just on the rest of us.
Thank you. Commissioner Costa Hernandez.
Hi. I want to echo what Commissioner Renteria just said, because I remember my first IQC meeting, listening to Jose or Commissioner Iniguez, the depth of understanding he had about the document that we were reviewing at that time, the seriousness and the respectful way in which he understood and took all the public comments and really tried to unpack what were people really saying, what can we do about this, is there anything we can do, set the tone. And like Commissioner Renteria said, I went back and I said, this is the bar. And so it was my model, and it has been my model through my tenure in the IQC. So Jose, buena suerte, good luck to you. Thank you for being such a good role model. And I'm hoping that because this is a cast of characters that we end up in different plays and different theaters, but we find each other. So I hope that we get to cross paths again.
Perfect. Commissioner Iniguez, would you like to have any remarks?
Absolutely. First of all, everyone, you're too kind. Seriously, I appreciate it. And in the last 4 years, Board Member Strauss is absolutely correct. I have learned so much. So it is I that should be thankful to you. And I am a better person for it. And I know that our students and our teachers here in California are better off for the work that we do. Yes, sometimes challenging, sometimes the issues are polarizing. It takes courage, it takes analysis, but you know what, as a team, we did it. And on a personal note, I've gotten to know each and every one of you on a personal level. And for the public listening out there, I have to tell you that everyone on this committee cares so much about students, cares so much about teachers, and you're in good hands. So with that, I simply want to say thank you to the state for the opportunity, and thank you to everyone here for all of your support. And thank you. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Commissioner Iniguez. As your final act of service, would you like to close today's meeting?
Yes, thank you. So I'd like to thank my fellow IQC commissioners, our State Board of Education liaisons, Seaford staff, guests, and members of the public for their participation in today's meeting. The state literacy plan will be posted for public review, as we stated, and or for public comment. So with that, I officially adjourn the Instructional Quality Commission for today. Thank you so much, everyone, and I wish everyone well. And our hearts, once again, and minds go out. I do not want to lose sight of this. Go out to the communities that are just devastated by the fires, and I don't want to lose sight of that. So thank you.
Thank you. Well done.